Hello and welcome to the 5th ever episode of the Moviebusters podcast. This is the second week of our own choices, rather than yours, and this week it's Jack's choice, which is Serpico, directed by Sidney Lumet, and starring Al Pacino as a police officer.
As Serpico himself.
Yeah.
Frank Serpico.
As it's repeated many times in the film, which I
Yeah.
Serpico.
So it's the first time I've watched it.
It's the first time I've watched it.
It's not the first time I've watched it.
Oh. First time the owner of the choice has watched it.
I've heard so many good things about Serpico purely because Al Pacino is one of the finest Al Pacino films, obviously The Godfather and and then Dog Day Afternoon. So I picked it up on Blu-ray and I've got it for my birthday about a month ago and I just haven't watched it since I haven't had the right time. And it's the Masters of Cinema series release. The Blu-ray is astonishingly good. It's all remastered and everything. It looks really good. It's really good of detailed of special features and everything. But I know it's on Netflix, but I never gave it really a thought on Netflix purely because I don't know, it just doesn't give me an experience on Netflix. I like watching it, when I want to watch it, but then again that's what Netflix does, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when did you watch it first, Dave?
I can't remember the first time I watched it. I can't remember the first time I watched every single film. I watch a lot of films, but I think I watched it with my dad, but I can't remember when. But I didn't watch it on Blu-ray. Back then there was no such thing.
It's a VHS.
I don't think it was a VHS, Rob. Come on, I'm not old.
Well, either way,
I had VHSs when I was younger.
Yeah, I wasn't that young. When you were younger, you had a VHS, but The Lion King. I wasn't saying I was 5 and 6 when I watched this.
I didn't have a Lion King on
yeah, that is something worth.
Your childhood was
Yeah, it is something worth talking about because it is not exactly The Bug's Life or anything like that, is it? Like it is kind of. There's a lot of kind of violent scenes in it. Like, the first kind of opening scene of the film is him with blood all over his face.
We'll come to that because me and Dave have got issues with that scene, but we'll come to that when it comes to plot. So backstory to the film. I mean, this film is 1973. As we said, it's a year before The Godfather Part 2. It's a year after The Godfather. It's 2 years before The Dog Day Afternoon, directed by Sidney Lumet again, another partnership. Serpico has never really stood out to me as one of the films I wanted to watch for some reason. I really like the film. I mean, we'll come to that later, but it's never been one of the Al Pacino films where I've got to watch that. I've got to watch it. No one has ever recommended Serpico.
It's funny. It's not the first time I've heard of the film. It's the first time I kind of thought, okay, I'm watching this now because it's been part of the podcast, like you were with Ghost World.
Yeah.
Last week. So honestly, it's kind of like how you were with Ghost World last week in that I wouldn't have watched this without the podcast.
Okay.
So it's not something I'd normally go to. So I was quite glad that we chose it because I really enjoyed it as well. So
I mean, have you seen much of Al Pacino's work before? I mean, surely you've seen.
I've seen The Godfather.
Okay. Have you seen all the Godfathers? Or just
the first one.
Okay. What about you, Dave? Because you've seen some Pacino films.
Yeah, Scarface, obviously. Godfather. Yeah.
Classic.
I've just seen the classics. I haven't seen his more unknown
like
works.
Jack and Jill.
I haven't watched his more recent work.
Well,
I think he's the De Niro type character where he's not doing that well like these kind of films anymore. Like De Niro's. Yeah. Meet the Fockers, the new thing with.
I guess these kind of films,
Dirty Grandpa, yeah.
These kind of films don't really get made anymore, do they? So
stay away.
I think they do make films like this now. The problem with this film is that Serpico was an actual policeman. It's a true story. So
true story.
The thing about the plot here is they have to be very careful not treading on people's toes and filming in actual New York. It's never. I mean, it's Oscar nominated, Best Actor in Leading Role, Pacino. Best nominee for Best Writing Screenplay Based on Material.
Okay.
From another medium, which is presumably it's going to be a book or a biography. But Serpico has never been one of them films out of Pacino's filmography where I'd be like, I'm watching that. I mean, it was only until yesterday I actually watched Dog Day Afternoon, which I think is actually a superior film to this.
I'm definitely looking to watch that because I've heard a lot of good things about that as well. So
I mean, did you just watch it off the cuff then, Dave? Did you not go into it?
I didn't go into it with an Al Pacino mindset.
Okay.
Went into it because I thought my dad said it was a good film.
Okay.
I think the first time I watched it, my dad hadn't watched it either.
Okay.
I can't remember. He probably has watched it, but maybe watched it before. But I think he said to me he hadn't watched it. So how I see it is when you go into movies, and people say oh, that film's really good or that film's really shit. You go into it with a mindset.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes you walk out with the opposite of what the person you've walked in with. Me and my mate went to Twilight. In a really cool bro way.
Yeah.
And he said he'd like read all the books and stuff and was like, "Oh mate, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great." So I sat there and I was waiting for it to become great, but it never did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's same as Iron Man 3. When Iron Man 3 was released, it was released to really good reviews. I went into that in the Huddersfield Odeon cinema, and 20 minutes into it, something didn't feel right. The whole film didn't feel right, and obviously there's a big twist in that film that, in my opinion, doesn't work. Doesn't
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Iron Man 3. Shane Black.
Yeah. Shane Black, who also did, he's also starring in Predator, but
Shane Black Christmas film, classic.
I got the same thing as well when I watched Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
Got massively good reviews. Everyone say Disney's back. I watched it and fucking hated it.
Really?
I really didn't like
I
it.
still haven't seen that.
I've heard mixed things about Big Hero 6. You've actually you've gone to the cinema to actually see quite a few Disney films.
Well, recently I went to go see the new Zootropolis, which actually was very good. I kind of went into it expecting to not like it because I didn't like Big Hero 6. And I think the big thing about why Big Hero 6 is so loved, I think, was Baymax. The character Baymax was very lovable as like an AI kind of like cuddly robot kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very Disney kind of character. But outside of that, the script was very expositional and kind of the characters didn't feel like they felt like they were being talked about by other characters rather than actually being characters themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it suffered a lot for that, and that it kind of felt like it was just the screen kind of throwing everything at your face, but never actually making anything work with the characters and them actually being authentic.
I mean, listening to you two going into this film with like sort of a predetermined mindset, I didn't. I went into it thinking it's Pacino, it's Sidney Lumet. It's a good film. It's got some good reviews. It's well known. I mean, it's parodied quite a lot now in pop culture and certain aspects of TV, such as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we watched that.
Which we just watched.
We watched that the other day together, and I think it was after we watched this film.
Yeah,
which is a brilliant
finally
TV
got
series.
it.
Yeah,
and people who haven't seen it.
Serpico.
Yeah, if you haven't seen It's Always Sunny, you should definitely fucking get to it. Like, it's probably the best TV comedy of all time. Like,
I think it's the best comedy, definitely.
Yeah.
I think if you said 2.5 Men, you need to put a bullet in your head. Anyway, continuing. So, yeah, I mean, also we talked about the mindset going into it. Have you ever seen Sidney Lumet's filmography?
I've seen 12 Angry Men.
Which is an absolute classic.
It's probably one of my favourite films of all time.
I think it's the 6th film of all time, the top 250 list, isn't it?
IMDb, yeah, I think so.
It might be 5th.
I think it's somewhere up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you seen any Sidney Lumet?
Only 12 Angry Men.
What else is he? Apart from
Network, which I recommend.
Yeah,
this another Masters of cinema release.
Who's the guy in that? I've forgotten his name.
It's a full all-star cast.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dog Day Afternoon, obviously, which won a few Oscars. Obviously, Pacino.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't want to continue talking about other films except for Serpico, but this film Serpico came out 2 years before Dog Day Afternoon.
Okay.
Pacino looks younger in Dog Day Afternoon than he does in this.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon yet, so...
Yeah, and also, do you want to know quite a really funny fact about Serpico and the film?
No.
The film is shot backwards.
Shot backwards?
So it starts off with every scene is filmed first with Pacino with a full beard.
Yeah.
And then all the scenes you see with him with less moustache and less special bits is filmed last. Which I found was really interesting how they filmed around his moustache and his facial hair rather than the schedule.
So I think that's a very interesting thing about the film is how it's never actually explicitly stated that it's 20 years later or it's however many years later, but he showed there's a definite kind of portrayal of time moving in a piece. Like
it does specify time difference because he goes like I've been on the beat for a year and a half without any. So it does specify.
It specifies it, but it's not like
it's through dialogue. It's not through visual.
It's not like a kind of flash card.
Not every single film has to put a big thing on the screen that says
which is what I liked about
slaps you in the face.
I didn't think
20
I
years
liked
later.
that.
Do you not? Okay.
No, because when I'm watching it, I felt the time was a lot quicker gone, and I was like, well, this is going really quick. Then obviously, he states through dialogue that he's been a beat cop for a year.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the sort of time passing through that. I didn't really like that. But then again, it didn't affect the film for me. It just annoyed me a little bit.
Because I went into this film not knowing it was biopic and came out of it thinking, oh, okay, that could have maybe been changed. And then I came out of it looking at the fact it was a biopic and thinking, oh, well, it's a biopic, so... This is actually quite interesting.
Well, I went in it knowing that Serpico was a real person.
Yeah.
Other than what happened, except for the main plot details that he wasn't a corrupt cop and he was against that, I didn't really know anything, and that's where me and Manette sort of had something to say about the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I think this as well.
I don't like the fact that it shows you what happened to him at the beginning and it bookends it. I don't like that.
So it almost feels like they're trying to say, oh, he might die. You might die at the end, but it's not really sure.
No, I don't feel that. But the reason I didn't like it was it seems like every true story film that you watch, like Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, they started that as well, and I'm sort of sick of it.
Fruitvale Station does the same thing as well.
Titanic does the
reason
same thing.
Exactly, the reason I think they do it the true story is because they want to show you where these people are now, what they're doing. Well, not in that way, but how they get their comeuppance. Like they have to go through all this when they get to there. Yeah. But it just seems such a waste because they put it in the first 5 minutes of the film instead of adding on like an hour at the end saying. But like the bit at the end of Serpico, where it just comes up with that bit of text that says like he's living somewhere in Switzerland. It's such an anticlimax.
Yeah, it's quite like an anticlimax as well. How it actually happens, almost like it's not really built up very well in the end. I don't think.
Well, my dad doesn't like biopics for one main reason.
I'm not a fan either.
And
a lot of them.
And I never really understood why. But he sums it up like this: when you go into a biopic, like let's say Titanic, Titanic's a very strange sort of film to propose this theory to, but let me finish anyway. Why do you go to watch Titanic
when you know about it?
No, but why do you go watch Titanic when you know it sinks?
Yeah.
What's the point? You know the boat goes down. The fact is that it made $1 billion is because of the romance. You want to see how it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it goes down at the end. If common knowledge, everyone knows the ship's going to break apart and sink.
Yeah.
The fact is we want to see the means of how it goes there with these people. So I think with Serpico, I think that theory doesn't sort of connect with this film because not only does it not keep us grounded, is that we see it straight away, we see him shot, we don't know if he's going to die like Dave says, and then we flash back.
Yeah. So you're saying that like the kind of event of like the major thing that happens should be used like in Titanic's case as a plot device.
To watch the film, and this it doesn't work.
It doesn't work because it's just a completely accurate portrayal. Like,
well, you know for a fact that he's not going to die because if you know anything about Serpico,
I didn't.
I did because like can't remember, I think I did something in college or like secondary school about him because he like corruption and all that. You know he doesn't die, so you know he goes on to get I think he got the medal of.
He did. Yeah, he got the medal of.
He got
something. Yeah.
Yeah, but after he retired or something like that, he goes in and does what. He's still alive. He's 70 years old now or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember where he lives.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't.
He lives in New York now, I think.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh right. But you know he's not going to die. So it's just it feels really like fake like they've turned it into a movie.
I guess that's interesting for you because you've got into that like
I didn't know he was going to die.
So I didn't know I didn't know whether he was going to die or whether he wasn't going to die.
It didn't affect me though. I was thinking, oh god, look at the damage. I think the gruesome sort of visuals of it was really good.
Yeah.
But how it was it sort of detached me because I didn't want to know. I wanted to, because I think if we wouldn't have seen that scene and then the actual inevitable comes up later on and we see that to me would have been the harsh statement of it because he is warned throughout the film that no one's going to put a bullet in you, but they might be a bit early or a bit late to find you with a bullet in you.
Because it's interesting as well because straight away it's basically just straight away saying, okay, this film's about corruption in the police force. Yeah. This is this and this is that. Oh, by the way, it might be this police officer who shot him, or it might be this police officer who shot him. Which is interesting because it's not actually a police officer who shoots him in the end, is it? It's a guy.
Yeah, it's a villain.
Well, that's actually I can't remember how they did that, but it's exactly how he got shot in the face. That's exactly how it went down.
Yeah,
he's got his hand stuck, and then his if you're wondering how he actually got to the hospital. Because they never actually explain that, do they?
No.
He just ends up getting there.
Yeah.
Both police officers left him there, and one of the guys in the apartment building actually called the ambulance when they came.
So we said very luckily then.
He's saved by basically people who shot him in the face, you're saying?
No. There's an old guy who lives in the apartment building.
But it's an apartment building in New York, isn't it?
I see. Yeah.
Another aspect of the plot I love is that it never keeps still. We're always moving into different settings.
Yeah.
And he used every single borough of New York during filming.
Yeah.
Every single borough there is. And you can feel that in the film. It's quite fastly paced of how we see this, then we see that, then we see this, then we see that, and it's quite quick, and sometimes it can probably be a little bit some sort of exaggerated to an extent. Like, if you're watching it and it's like, oh god, this is going too quick, I need to slow down. But I thought it really worked because we get to see his playground. I think if it showed us the Empire State Building and the World Trade Center, it'd be like, that's New York. I think he shows the real gritty New York, especially when the two African Americans are playing basketball and he arrests them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that could have been downtown in anywhere, but it was in the heart of,
I've seen a lot of people write about this film and said, well, like afterwards, because obviously I use Letterboxd, which like a lot of people will like review films, and so I reviewed it myself on Letterboxd and then looked at what other people said. A lot of people said who lived from New York themselves, saying it's very like one of the most accurate portrayals of New York as a place they've seen from like the 70s, like from their memories of it, and I think that's very interesting. I mean, especially for the fact it's biopic.
I think this is a really good parallel to Taxi Driver.
Okay.
I think you see one man in Taxi Driver against the world in his own mind and loneliness.
Yeah.
And then this, and who's basically a villain. I mean, Ferris Bueller's a villain. And then we've got Serpico, who's on the other end of the line in loneliness.
Yeah.
Fighting against everyone else.
But for us, we relate to him, but we don't necessarily relate to Taxi Driver, which is interesting, I think.
I think this. I would love to see this as a double bill. I really would do. Like Downfall, the German film about Adolf Hitler in the last days of the bunker, and Schindler's List are really good films to watch together.
Okay.
Because we see two different perspectives.
Yeah.
This came out at sort of around the time of 3 years in and out of Taxi Driver. I would love to watch this in a double bill because I think these two. I mean, if you re-edited these films together, and that would be an amazing film.
Yeah.
An amazing film.
Because what I really like about the way they portray the police force in this film, it's like he's the crazy one.
Yeah.
He's the crazy one for not taking bribes, for not doing all these kind of like dastardly underhand things. And like I think that's very interesting for like a parallel for, or as you say, the Taxi Driver and us watching it ourselves. It's kind of like, well, it's quite interesting, really, isn't it?
I mean, Dave, you've seen it. I think this is your third time now.
This would have been the third time. Yeah.
I mean, the third time watching it, was it paced well enough? I mean,
it's definitely got replayability. I mean, could you say right now that you won't rewatch it?
I'd watch it again, but I wouldn't watch it immediately. I think I'd have to wait.
Well, I've watched it 3 times in my 20 years of life.
Yeah.
Nearly 21.
I mean, I can imagine watching it a second or third time, it being quite difficult to sort of sit through just purely because it is quite long at certain times.
2 hours 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Very long. It is a very long film, to be fair.
I think I would definitely watch it again, but I'm not sure how long it would be till I watch it again. Like it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Like because I think especially it's just for the character, the way Al Pacino like slowly self-destructs just because like of that lifestyle he's living.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really interesting character study, and I'd definitely go back to see that.
Yeah, I mean Pacino himself is fascinating in that role. I think he embodies Serpico. I mean, I read an article of.
Yeah.
Do you know when he's on the Brooklyn Bridge and he's singing to the opera?
Yeah.
And the scene just doesn't go anywhere, but he's just singing on the opera. Do you know he pulled someone over? He was so into the role of Serpico that he just pulled someone over and tried to search their car and everything. He was taught usually days he was
I think I've read that as well, actually.
Yeah, usually some days he was just so wired in the role that he would scream and shout at everyone. Then other days when he was portraying Serpico, just in New York on a beat, a cop, he would be lovable. So I think it's a very method character to look at. I mean, I love the disguise. I think it doesn't really come down to Pacino. It comes down to Serpico, the actual man. Yeah. Because that's Serpico. He would go around New York in disguise. I mean, Dave's obviously done work on him. I mean, he's a fascinating man, isn't he? I mean,
yeah.
So as biopic, it works because it's an interesting character itself as a person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it could. I think it's probably not necessary for a remake. Because if it was done in modern times, I don't think it would work. But I think it's beautifully placed in 1970s New York, in a place where a lot of prejudice with African Americans. I mean, the rape sequence where Pacino and the beat cop first encounters, I think that was quite like difficult to watch at times because when she it was, I think it's when he's beating the Jesus out of the guy and. Pacino just walks him over to the coffee store, and just talks to him slowly and gets information out of him.
Yeah.
I felt it was just a really good way of sort of telling the audience that Serpico is not this sort of man, he's different.
Yeah, it's just complete action as well. It's not. Yeah. There's no exposition saying of like there's no voiceover saying, but Serpico, he's a good cop. He does this, he does that. You just know he's a good cop because he's doing good cop things and he's being a good person.
Yeah.
That sort of disappears though over the stage of the movie, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He goes away from being. Well, he's always a good cop in between, but it goes from being a police officer to taking down the more police officers. The way I've seen it, when replayability wise, is you're waiting for him to go from Paco, Frank, nice guy, goes and gets his shoes done, to Serpico, beard, walking around shouting at people.
angry at the world kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of my favourite scenes in the film, probably my favourite scene, is at the party.
When he tells it, when his girlfriend says everyone's a cop,
and they're all like, "I'm this, but I'm an actor, but I'm also this."
Yeah.
And he's like, and everyone they always kind of walk away from him. I really like that because I think it's quite telling as well. Because my granddad was a police officer and a detective, and he'd always kind of get that kind of reaction if you told people a police officer, he wouldn't be necessarily be taken seriously, and I think it's important that people kind of take those people seriously because it's not you shouldn't have that kind of label, should you? Really, like
yeah. I mean, it's an interesting statement to make. When he asks his girlfriend, "Why do all your friends in between? Why are they this but they go into that?" And then
why they always going somewhere.
And his character himself is on the verge of being the corrupt cop he doesn't want to be, or he's going to be the cop that's the outcast who he doesn't want to be either. He just wants to get on with his. So it's a very interesting.
So even people who he'd relate to, which are these people, they can't relate to him because he's got this label of being a police officer where everyone else is just different to him, which is such a difficult place to be in, I imagine, because it's like you can either go to the people who you'd relate to but don't want to relate to you, or you can go to the people who you could relate to in theory, but you'd have to completely change who you are. And I think that's a really good kind of parallel.
So, I mean, your favourite scene is probably the party scene, have you just said. What's yours, then, Dave?
My favourite scene in the whole film? I'd probably go with when he comes in and he's got his moustache.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, excuse my French, only faggots wearing mustache. Yeah.
And it's just such a big statement to his character. That's the reason I love it so much. Because he goes like, well, I'm going to keep it. This is part of my look. Fuck you.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack? What's your favourite scene?
I've got quite a few, but I think one of my favourite scenes is probably when Pacino is in the coffee shop with his girlfriend or soon-to-be ex-wife, I believe. And she says she's leaving. She goes, "You can't shout at me here." And he just loses it. He says, "I can shout wherever I want." And then obviously she runs off.
It's a good scene, yeah.
And he's more inclined to pay the bill and give her a tip than run after her. And I think that scene shows Serpico as a true man. Like, he knows he shouldn't go after her because he can't keep her in this loop of...
He's already realised after he shouted at her he's lost her.
As well. And he just wants to do the right thing. I mean, it's just that reiteration of Serpico is a good guy, And I mean, there are very certain scenes, I mean, I also like the scene where he's running after the guy who's just robbed in the train station. He's just robbed a house.
Oh yeah.
And then two cops open fire on him, and he's just screaming.
Yeah, that's a good scene. Yeah,
because I think that's like a first pure sign of the this new NYPD, these New York police officers. There's a very thin line between arresting someone for a crime or opening fire on them because they think they've done a crime. Yeah. And I think in our modern day now, I think that scene can speak quite a volume.
Yeah, it still stands
up.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's 1973, this film.
It would be interesting to have kind of film like this, like this kind of parallel to Serpico, but in kind of today's society, of like maybe having a black police officer and how he's kind of like...
Or a woman police officer.
Oh, a woman police officer, yeah.
I mean, if it was done now, I think they'd kill him.
Yeah.
The police would kill him.
It's too Hollywood not to, really, isn't it?
Well, not only that, but I think if in a modern day society, I think they would have killed Serpico now.
I don't think they would have. I think if he was going to die, it would have been back then.
Well, the coppers. That's what I meant. I said they'd kill him.
Oh no, I thought you said that if this was done in now times, it would be they'd kill him.
No, I think that if Serpico was like 2000s and it happened in New York, I mean the police officers would have killed Serpico, not let it go on too long. I think looking back, I mean hindsight's a wonderful thing. Again, I think Serpico, the man, is a very, very, very lucky person to still be alive today.
Yeah. Well, he got shot in the head.
Not only that though, but because of the constant. I mean, how many times? I don't know how many times. If the audience want to tell us, I appreciate that. How many times he changes boroughs of police department?
Yeah,
I think it's 7.
I mean,
God, that's ridiculous.
In the movie.
I mean, you're just looking at like you're making more enemies every single time.
Yeah, and he's built because isn't there one scene where he moves to a different borough and he's already got a reputation for himself in that.
It's near the end, isn't it? Where he goes in and that guy pulls a knife on him.
Yeah, and then Serpico just absolutely ends him, and and he meets that friend, and I love that little bit because you think this guy's going to be an absolute arsehole, so
because the rest of them were arseholes. And he goes like, if you can't find anyone, I'll work with you.
Yeah, I like that, and I love the scene on top of the building as well. The jumping across the buildings.
It's my second favourite character in the film.
Yeah. What do you think of his lawyer? Did you like him? His lawyer's the guy who worked with him a little bit before.
They got you. Was it the train station with him? Tried to get the thing.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think he was a lawyer.
No, Serpico's lawyer's in the film. I can't remember who he's played by.
Do you mean the guy who
Sidney Green?
shot at him? Or I'm getting confused.
No, it doesn't matter. There's another character, and I really like
The
that.
other guy that's basically
His
helping
partner,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bit
I find him
flaky.
a bit obnoxious.
Well, Judd Hirsch is in this film. Who played what's his name now? Jeff Goldblum's dad in Independence Day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He plays one of the cops who he says, "Don't move." Do you know right at the beginning he says, "Don't move from Serpico's. I don't want you to move from his doorway."
Oh yeah.
That's Judd Hirsch.
Yeah.
Also, the man towards the end who's Serpico, who leaves Serpico to dead, as Dave pointed out.
Yeah.
He's a really famous actor as well, but he's not credited in the film.
Oh.
I didn't know if they did that because I thought when I looked at the cast, I was like, he's going to be the killer then, because we get to see his face probably, and we've got a bit of a big name actor like that, but it obviously never came to anything. But
It's interesting.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's quite a good. There's very the characters to me. There's a lot, but very few minutes.
Yeah,
I think and it also goes back to the point where it jumps around New York quite a lot.
Well, obviously, it is Serpico's story, but I think what's so interesting about this film is how it's 2 hours long, but there's no kind of like lengthy scenes or anything that's unnecessary for me personally, anyway. But then you look at some biopics, and it's like, why are you making a biopic about this person? They're not interesting whatsoever. Like how I watched Joy this start of this year.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, David Russell film.
Yeah, it was a biopic about a person who invented a fucking mop. And that was literally all there was to her. And like,
I've not seen that film.
I stay away from biopics.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I think biopics. Aviator is one of my favourite films of all time. Howard Hughes.
If a biopic is done right and it's the right person you're making a film about, it can be absolutely spectacular, like Serpico.
So what biopics don't you like? Then,
well, Joy was one I really didn't like.
I haven't seen. I can't. I've
really
got no frame of reference.
Foxcatcher.
I
didn't like Foxcatcher.
I think
at all.
Foxcatcher is one of the slowest films I've ever seen, but I think it's got real power at the end.
It's got power at the end.
If you don't know what happens in it, it is quite hard.
I didn't know what happened at the end.
Did you find the ending or the inevitability of one scene to be quite hard?
It was shocking, but it didn't make the film for me. It was just like, okay.
No, I don't think it would though, would it?
No, I think I kind of looked back at it and thought, well, it's quite powerful, but like, is that really going to make me want to watch this again? Just 'cause, that's happened. It's like it's that kind of, for me, that was kind of like playing on the fact that this guy is completely wacky and he shot this guy, and that's the entire film. And I think that's not how you should be doing a biopic.
Spoilers.
I mean, what film would you say then, Dave, that you don't think a biopic is not very good?
I think 1 in every 5 biopics is actually worth watching. And I'd say biopic that I don't like.
Yeah, which is internationally known for being decent. What don't you like?
I don't know if it's a biopic, but it's based on a group of people. Valkyrie, hated it.
The Bryan Singer picture with Tom Cruise.
Hated it.
I quite like Valkyrie. It's quite good.
I haven't seen Valkyrie, so yeah.
For sure haven't.
Schindler's List biopic.
Yeah.
There's quite a few good. I mean, I really like the Scorsese's Aviator. One of my favourite films. Goodfellas is technically a biopic. So is Casino. Just names changed. Presumably.
Which surely doesn't make it a biopic.
Yeah, because sometimes you have got to change names to make.
Yeah, but surely that doesn't make it a biopic.
If it's based on a real story, though.
Yeah, no, but if you have to change the names.
It's changing names for the safety of the person.
Yeah, because they're all in hiding. They're all mafia bosses, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think there are quite a few biopics. I think you've got to be very careful biopics.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can take liberty. If you take liberty with a story, if this didn't happen, it completely takes me out of the whole experience, because why should I have to watch this that didn't happen and be absorbed into something like a car chase?
See, I'd rather a filmmaker, if someone took on a project of making a biopic about somebody and then realised actually it's not as interesting as I first thought about, I wouldn't have anything to hold against them if they added something to the film to make it more interesting. And I think that's where a lot of biopics fall flat, in that they don't do that because they try to stick too closely to the story. But I think Serpico's lucky for that, in that it is such an interesting character and there is so much to talk about.
Yeah,
with Serpico and how his position alienated him from every single person. He could, like, even his wife, even his own kind of people, like policemen, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there's any parts in Serpico where you didn't have any believability. Any believability? But you do.
Can't think of one.
I'll let Rob go first.
Can't think of one, actually.
I've got one that really pissed me off.
Go on then, mate.
When he's in the bathtub with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend just turns around and says, "I'm going to marry this man," and Serpico just turns and like, "Really?" And she's like, "A girl needs to get married, Frank." That scene is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. If that happened like that, that man would have been off his tits in anger like he is throughout the film.
Well, she says to him, doesn't she? Like, I'm
It's
going to marry this man
ridiculous,
if you
though.
don't marry me. It's one of those things that where she goes like, she wants to get married to Serpico, but he hasn't done anything.
I really like that character throughout until that scene where she brings it up because it just loses my all interest with her. I like his other girlfriend or his wife. I don't know if it's his wife because she brings papers to him, so presumably they're married. Yeah. I find that because I love that scene where they're talking in the gardens and he's got his wine and cheese selection. And they're talking about music, and he's smiling, and he's flirting with it. I love the dynamic between them two, and that's sort of. I wonder if they would have started with that because then we would have seen more of them going through the shit, as lack of a better word, and then eventually her just relenting and saying, "I can't do this," because she's ultimately speaking for him, but she can't leave the situation.
Yeah, he's kind of on a path of self-destruction anyway, and kind of hasn't got time for anything else really, because he's so caught up in that if he kind of turns his back on anything, it could all just fall in his face, really.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, you've seen quite a few Al Pacino films, and I think you've seen quite a few. Where would Serpico rank in Al Pacino's?
Yeah, but you said this before for Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is my personal opinion, or what he feels like the character. I don't feel like, in my thing, it's probably fourth in his Al Pacino.
Yeah, I mean, after Michael Corleone and his character in Heat, I wouldn't argue that, but I think that Serpico feels on screen like Serpico. When I'm watching it, you know it's Al Pacino playing Serpico, but I think he loses himself in that role for the good of the audience, and I think he's really good in this film. He's nowhere near Michael Corleone standard because when you watch The Godfather, Michael Corleone in that film, there's no actor on screen. I'm watching it through, I'm watching through a glass. Yeah, that's how good he is in that film. There's a few films. I mean, Dog Day Afternoon where he plays Sonny. I think he's really good in that. But I think it's definitely Al Pacino in that. I can see little bits of it. The loud range of acting. But I thought he was fascinating in this film. Oscar worthy? Do you think nominated?
It's nominated twice, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was nominated for his role though.
Definitely feels like an Oscar film, doesn't it? Because it's a biopic.
Yeah,
it's about corruption in the police force, which is something that's prevalent at the time. And yeah, I think it's definitely Oscar worthy.
What about his role in particular? Because he was nominated.
Yeah, his role definitely. Yeah, yes, certainly.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I see it as like
I'm not too sure.
It's Al Pacino's film, isn't it? Like you take Al Pacino out of that film and put someone else in there, it's not necessarily the same film, is it?
I disagree.
Well, let's talk about that. Who do you think could have played that role?
Dustin Hoffman.
I could see that. Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman was offered the role and turned it down.
What about? I suppose 1973, isn't it? So
you've got Jeff Bridges in the role, you've got Chris Christopherson, you've got Robert De Niro. Well, Robert De Niro's probably just starting out, so I'm not too sure.
I'm trying to think. Christopher Walken?
I think Christopher Walken could have probably played...
he probably could have played his lawyer, mate.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Now
now that you've listed those kind of people, I'm like feeling a bit like, okay, yeah, fair enough, actually. But
I mean, Al Pacino's good in it. Don't get me wrong.
But he's I still think that he made it his film, like by being in it. Like, I couldn't imagine him not in it personally. Now that I've seen it.
I mean, you stated there that you think Pacino is amazing in the role, whereas I've argued that the character is probably the standout. I mean, Pacino's playing him, yes, but the character himself is so fascinating that I want to watch more. Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting what you think then, Dave.
I agree with Jack. I mean, the reason that the film is so good is because Pacino is that good of an actor that he can get into that role. Pacino's not it's not reading that character and being like, the character actually existed. He's, he's taken that character and made him... I'd say it's a bit of both, really. Because the character that is Serpico is so fascinating. I've read up on him to do some stuff, and I think Pacino is so good as well because he always gets so involved in every single role that he does. Like you said earlier, with the guy back on the bridge, he pulls him over.
Yeah,
I think that makes it as well.
He really gave the character life, I think. Yeah. So, what about negatives then? Any negatives to the film?
I don't think I really have a negative. I think the pacing is really slow. I mean,
I feel like it could have been half an hour shorter.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd disagree. I mean, it's a biopic, so I mean, you want to be absorbed in all of the information you can. But like I said, Dave, half an hour, I think you've got a lot of stuff in there that's quite good for the character. I think it's a good 10 minutes could be gone purely of him getting introduced to the certain people, and that never comes of it. I think there's a Burrow scene you could definitely just wipe out.
I think sometimes when I watch films, especially ones that are over like 90 minutes, I'll constantly be checking, thinking, how long has this got left? But I didn't do that at all with this film, which I think is interesting. It's interesting for me. I was like constantly engaged with it, so I don't think I've really felt that personally. But one thing I would say about it, I think I agree now that you've mentioned that scene from earlier about them in the bath. I'm not completely sure about that.
I don't like that scene. I found that really difficult. It just annoyed me.
Yeah.
I just found it just pissed me off a little bit, and I don't
liked
mean that.
it.
Really?
I liked it. Controversially, I liked it.
Why? What did it?
I liked
think it
it.
added anything.
I think it added a fact. The matter is that this guy, he's this cop. He's so pressured at work and all that. When he comes home, he wants to relax, but instead he's got his wife there, or his girlfriend, his missus, going like, if you don't marry me in the next month, I'm gonna go. So he's getting it fired from every single angle. He hasn't got a moment's rest. Even when he goes home and he wants to just chill out, his girlfriend's just there like, hey, you scumbag, marry me.
I don't think the corruption is there at that point, though. I don't think he's getting fired at all cylinders.
I think he is.
I don't think he is. Not to the point where it becomes in the latter stage.
I think he is very involved in his job, though, at that point, which is something to bear in mind. Like
I think
he's at goatee stage at this point.
I think
we should refer to stages. I think he's at goatee. I think he's like I think it's after he got the envelope.
He's about a third in, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's starting to get the sort of corruption thing, and then he's starting to. I liked it anyway because I feel like it was what I was explaining before.
So she's kind of saying she doesn't want to hang around for him to sort his situation out. She wants to get married now, and she wants him to kind of give up his work, but he's not going to do that. Is that
no, what I was saying is that he literally cannot get a moment's rest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Even when he goes to to collect his shoes. I know this is like near the start of the film. Where I think it's his brother or his
either way,
it's one of his friends, isn't it?
Yeah, and he goes like he's like, what's the job like and all that. It's like every time he goes somewhere, it's at the party as well. He goes like, are you really a cop? He's always working in his mind. He's always got something going on with his job.
I'm not really noticed it, but when Dave says that now, if you think back, it's reiterated all the time that this police officer and he works for the NYPD. I think that's an interesting aspect to look at because for that character himself to have to be absolved by that job, the heat of the the corruption there, I think that mentally for him it's probably a good thing that she left.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking back, I think it's like that. It just happens. I mean, I don't think we have any fallout of it either. Does he go off the rails? I can't remember. I mean, I don't think he does.
He does slightly do that by he just has so many pets, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He has dog, mouse, parrot.
That dog is fucking adorable when he first gets it. Jesus.
Well, them two were about bloody Manson family. Them two, weren't they?
Yeah, it's horrible.
They were. And when he said, "Can you look after my car for me?" She just give that money there. I just thought they're going to rob something.
Yeah, I thought they were going to take the car, but they just moved on.
I mean,
it shows his trust in people, which is interesting for his character.
I mean, the humanity. Exactly for his character, the humanity at the start. He takes his dog in. First
thing he does when he gets into the house is fills up a saucepan, gives it to his dog, and then goes straight back out again.
Yeah, but the reason he did that, from what I saw from repeat viewings, is because they probably don't treat him very well. Like he had to put the dog's mouth in that bowl, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's what I was.
Either way,
humanity.
It's still showing him.
I think because he was really young. Though.
Yeah.
Them two are nutters. I don't really have negatives per se. I mean, I really liked it. I think that I'm going to give credit to Sidney Lumet as well because. I've not really seen much of his filmography except for obviously his classics.
Yeah.
Could have been directed by someone else. I don't know, probably, but I mean, I like the fact that he's quick. He shoots everything he can do. Most of it's just one takes as well.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I think as much as improvised. I think the party scene goes on for a little bit too long. I think when he's upstairs and he's flirting with that girl as well, I thought they were going to kiss at some point and then I'd fall.
Didn't really go anywhere, did it?
I feel like if they did that, it would have been really poor. I didn't really like romantic storylines in biopics. I know it's like part of his life.
Unless it's integral.
Yeah, it just seems boring to me.
I think it would have taken away from his honesty and, like you said, humanity, the character for cheating on his girlfriend.
He would have,
I mean, I don't really have any negatives per se.
When I say I had a couple of negatives, it wasn't... Like when I said it could be half an hour thing, that's probably because I've watched it so many times.
It's only kind of like minor things you change.
Yeah. Well, when you watch it, when you two watching it again, you'll sort of be sat there, like I say, you'll be waiting for him to turn from Paco to Serpico.
Okay.
There's an interesting thing you just said that. I mean, there's one scene in particular I've just remembered now. It just annoys me. I think when the police sergeant comes to visit him and his jaw's locked up and all of the side of his body's a bit weak, and he goes from the hospital bed. You can see he's in so much pain.
Yeah.
I think at that point he does sort of make a bit of a miraculous recovery. And at the end, when he's just next to the boat, he's with his dog, and it's like Serpico is somewhere in Switzerland. Like you said earlier on in the podcast, like Dave said, I mean, if you cut it half an hour, it needs to be half an hour shorter. I mean, get rid of all the fat and all the trimmings of it, shorten it, and put another 30 minutes of him, debating whether to leave his own hometown, to say bye to his family, to understand that he will never be trusted once again in his community. He lives somewhere in Switzerland. I even said Serpico is now one of the most hardest people to contact or reach. That would have been far more interesting to me.
Yeah, somewhere in Switzerland. I
Would
watched
add a
it.
bit more mystery to his character. Yeah.
So I don't care. You could say like Dave lives somewhere in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Moved to Hull.
Yeah. I moved to Hull to do a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really go in certain like far places, but I felt like just going back. I think he's acting and when he's talking with the bullet through his face. I think you do definitely see pain in that character.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I think it's really well done.
That's one of my favourite scenes.
One thing I was kind of unsure about was when his parents got there and he's like, it's okay, he's only been shot in the face. And he's like, oh, what would we?
Yeah, but the face is so close to the brain, isn't it?
That's what they were saying. It was like it didn't hit his spine, so he can still walk. It didn't hit his mind, so he can still talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just thought it was interesting how like even though he's been shot in the face, his parents were like, oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
Well, no, I'll tell you what, mate. I get shot in the face, and you come into the hospital, and some guy says, well, he's not critically damaged, but he's still been shot in the face. I mean, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can still walk, he can still talk, he can still do what he wants.
He's going to have to do. He's a very lucky man.
Yeah.
I mean, a very lucky man.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring the parents dynamic up because I felt, we have all this Serpico orientation with his girlfriends and his pets. I felt they missed a trick with his family.
They had a couple of scenes. They had a scene with his mum giving him money to the house.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then they had his mum.
Didn't even want to take that money, did he?
No, I mean, I mean, to make him a family man.
He always separates himself from his family, doesn't he?
I wouldn't say he is a family man, though. Would you?
Yeah. Well, that's what I struggled to not believe that because I felt that Serpico would have loved his parents. He would have done everything.
No, but Frank loves his parents.
Yeah,
but
Serpico
does show in the police academy when he
just
first
wants
graduated.
I mean, it's interesting to look at, like Dave says. Dave has reiterated most throughout the podcast that Frank and Serpico, and I think there is that divide. I think Serpico at the end is Serpico. At the end of the film, they state Serpico is now living in Switzerland. They don't say Frank Serpico. I mean, I think Dave's theory hit the nail on the head. I like that. I think I completely agree. It's two sides of a coin. I think it's very similar to Michael Corleone. You've got the Michael of before his father's shooting, and then you've got the Michael after, who isn't the same person. I mean, obviously in tragic events, people do change. I mean, some change in total, like Frank Serpico did. Then others sort of lose themselves, but then find themselves later on in life. I think Robert De Niro in The Deer Hunter is a prime example. How after the events he's different, but he sort of finds solace back home in Pennsylvania, where Christopher Walken he doesn't. I think Christopher Walken's character is very similar to Serpico, not in the sense of what happens to him, but the sense of mental instability after a certain event. And I think fair play to Al Pacino there because that's the acting there. Because it reminds me of Matthew McConaughey in True Detective, how an actor has to put themselves in a point where they're on a spectrum. Then you look at before an event and you act in a certain way, and then you deteriorate yourself to become to this actor where you lose weight. I mean, the method acting there is obviously playing part, but I think Serpico probably did go mental. I mean, I don't know what he's like now. I'd love to see an interview of him now and see him talking about events, because I don't think he is the same person.
Bold now.
Is it?
Yeah. Bold. Well, he's 70, but like you look at like the end of it where he's got
73 and he's not bold.
Well, no, but like you look at in the movie at the end, he's got like big beard, mustache.
It's all them hats.
Luscious locks.
You'll go bald if you wear a hat.
Don't be talking about, mate. I'd like to bring up the ending again because another negative I thought of was the ending is such an anticlimax. That bit where he's at the conference and he's saying like, I hope that another police officer doesn't have to go through it. I was going like, yeah, and then it's like he just sat there, and it's like Serpico's now living somewhere else. I was like, really? I mean, the way I would have personally ended it, and I'm not shooting on Sidney Lumet's ability as a director because I think it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, the way I would have ended it would have been him doing his monologue, obviously in the witness box, and then just sitting back
and just being able to just go and just be exhausted with it, and then just looking at the screen and cutting to black, and then saying,
yeah, that's so much better ending.
Because I think, like Dave says, I think it takes away from this whole ordeal. He's playing with his dog. I mean, if I was in that position, there would be nothing left of me. You'd be so hard to cook whatever was left out of you. I mean, I think Dave's right again. I think it's not poor, but it could have been done better. But maybe that's just to show the humanity of the character. Maybe he is back now. I would disagree.
I think my main negative of the film was the opening as well. I think personally, I would have started it with him coming in from the police academy, all really happy and everything. And the first thing he does when he goes into the police station is he looks at the police officer of the month, and he goes straight to him, and it's cut straight to a scene where he goes into the butcher's, and he asks for that. He asks for roast beef instead of what they normally get.
Yeah, the chicken soup. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that instantly shows what the film's about. That scene of like he's the police officer of the month, but he's like playing along with the corruption of taking bribes from people. So that they can do their own kind of thing. And
yeah,
I think that's a much better opening than starting it off with him.
Well, I think that little scene in the diner with his first partner.
Yeah.
That if you want to sum a film up like you said, watch that, because he simply says, "Why can't I go back and pay for what I want?" It's like it's free. It's
pretty much like. It sets the tone for the movie, doesn't it?
So it says he's a good cop. He just wants to be a good cop. He wants to play by the rules.
Yeah, he doesn't want free things because he wants to earn it. He wants to earn the right to be who he is.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, isn't it? When you take bribes and all that, you end up with the fat of the meat and all that. But if you pay for it, you get the nice stuff. Yeah. If you actually earn what you're going for.
I mean,
you can end that film 5 minutes in, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
Serpico's now living somewhere in Switzerland.
When he's in the car with his partner and he's driving and they get the call for the rape, and he's like, "No, just leave it. It's not in our district." I mean, his intention there is to go save someone's life. It's not for the plaudits or anything like that. It's that I'm going to go help this person. He goes there. I mean, maybe it is for the plaudits. When he's young, he wants to get up in the ladder, doesn't he? But he chases after that guy who probably didn't have much to do with the actual intent, but he was there regardless. And
I think he did have something to do with it.
No, because he doesn't have any knife there.
He didn't have a knife, but he still was.
No, but that's what he says. Then he says that he might not have done anything, but you were still there.
Oh, right.
But Serpico runs after him, or Frank at that point, runs after him, gets him, catches him, and obviously doesn't get the two others one. But I think that scene shows his audacity to be who he wants to be. He doesn't want anyone to be hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a negative, but I'd like to talk just a little bit about the impact of when he is shot, because I think that's edited really nicely.
I agree.
I mean, because I didn't see it coming, but when he nearly got to his gun, he's like, I'm stuck, help me. And the other two just look at each other, and the gun comes up, and it's just a bullet, and that was really good and quite striking. Yeah, I don't know what you two thought.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I said before, that's exactly how it went down. I was reading the article when I was doing my college work. I was reading the article, and it's exactly how it went down, even down to the scratches and everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I love that scene.
It's very intense as well with the scratches. Like, it's a lot of tension to it. It's like kind of like literally nail biting.
I mean, I like that there's no liberty taken there.
Yeah.
I like the fact that. So I mean, overall, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think Dave summed up best with the whole Paco to Serpico, and I think it's so well done to that point with Paco to Serpico. If you watched the first 10 minutes and he fell asleep and woke up when he was Serpico, you wouldn't recognise the film. You think you'd be watching a different film.
There'd be definitely something like, what has happened here? It's one of them, you can't have a toilet break. You can't because it's so quick.
You were saying earlier in another podcast, I can't remember what film it was, Predator?
Yeah.
Where you said that you could turn it on at any point and you could leave the room. I can't remember if this is actually podcast or just me and you talking. But you were saying that you could put this film on, you could leave and go back, and
it's Predator,
yeah. This, no way.
Yeah, it's a complete character study, and everything happens adds something to his character until he deteriorates and self-destructs. And
I would agree. Yeah.
I think it's very, very good for that. The writing, especially, is just brilliant. I love that opening scene. Well, not opening scene, but the opening that I suggested as an opening of him going in, instantly thinking, right, I need to be the best cop here. Who's the best cop here? It's this guy. And then instantly finding out he's only the best cop here because he plays by the rules and he takes bribes and I think that's just, it instantly sums up the film without having to say anything at all.
Yeah.
Or having to explicitly state it at all. It's very. I just love that. I think the writing is some of the best in cinema.
Yeah.
Like, it's brilliant.
What about you, Dave? What do you
I think it's funny that that our negatives and the way that we would change this film is how you would change most biopics ending and the start. We haven't slated into the movie at all midway through, apart from some little things like the bath scene.
Yeah.
But the most problems we've got with this film are the ending and the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it makes it quite a good film to a point where the only problem you've got with it is how it opens and how it ends.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the time we were so immersed in that character and we loved it that much that we didn't really find anything fault with it, which is why I do like this film.
The film's about journey, isn't it? It's about journey, the character, of how he got from point A.
Like
to
I
point
said
B.
earlier.
Yeah, it's the journey.
I brought the thunder to this podcast.
I mean, that's what I said. That I mean, you go into a biopic not to know the ending. You go in it because you want to know how they got there.
Exactly.
I mean, to sum up my opinion of it, I think it's a fascinating film, and I think it's an excellent character study. Al Pacino is absolutely amazing in this. I think Oscar worthy. I mean, potentially, I think he probably should have won it. Jack Lemmon won instead, which I haven't seen that film, and I don't have no intention of. But direction is amazing. I love the Sidney Lumet, how he's quick, he's easy, he's out one take, get in, shows all the New York. I think the not only the character study of Al Pacino as Serpico, which is, like I've said again, amazing. I think the next character is New York itself. I think that he shows the slimy aspects, he shows the dirty aspects of it, and he shows the clean
high society parts of it. Yeah.
I think it's probably gonna go down as probably one of the very best films I've seen in a long time. Yeah. Not one of my favourites, I've got to admit. I wouldn't watch it again in a while.
I wouldn't say it's my favourite film we've done in the podcast so far.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, is it? I think it's at this rate. I think it's the best film technically we've seen.
In terms of script, I think it's definitely.
Yeah. No, I disagree about script.
I'm screen scripts with Big Lebowski in this, but they're two different films.
You got to fit right. So far we've done Big Lebowski, we've done Predator, and then Reservoir Dogs, Ghost World, and Serpico. Yeah. So you're saying it's the best film out of all of them?
I think technically, on a technical standpoint, and the acting, and the direction, and the filmmaking, this is the best film we've seen.
Considering how tight it is as a script as well. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Reservoir Dogs again, because we did that.
I know you don't like it,
and I didn't really want to talk about that film. I mean, it's an interesting.
I'll agree with you. Actually, yeah, I'll agree with you.
I mean, you look at this of the cinema we've seen. I mean, can you relate this to any of the films you've seen recently? I mean, The Departed is for one for me. You can see that very similar links to that.
Oh yeah, Departed. Good shout.
The Taxi Driver as well.
As you said earlier, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice how it's just snuck in there.
I do like The Departed. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, nice one.
I mean,
give you that.
Scorsese's super fun. I mean, like I said, technical talking. I think it's probably the best one we've seen. It's not my favourite we've seen yet. I think I do think Predator is my favourite.
I think for sort of just chilling about. It depends. Let's say Predator is probably the best film
to just watch.
I mean, sit down, watch it. You can watch it at any point.
Well, I do need to stress that this is not a Friday night film.
It's not a quotable film.
Oh, definitely not.
It's not a quotable film.
This is like a Sunday night before you go back to work. Sort of film.
I mean, this is a film that I think you have to put the hours in yourself.
Yeah,
like you said, you've got to keep on thinking. I mean, I'd like to screen this for some people who didn't like film, or some people who weren't too into film, and see their opinion, because obviously we're surrounded by film, so we went into this knowing it would be somewhat of a good film. Yeah, we knew it technically it would be, but personally, like, you've got a little bit of problems with it. I've got a few problems with it. So does Dave. I mean, it's not
major problems though. I did. I still loved it. Like,
it was an excellent choice.
Yeah. If you do say so yourself.
I think it was a good choice to look at, because it is. There's 1973 at a standpoint there.
I think it's interesting you chose it and you hadn't seen it before, and you've come out saying all this stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's a testament to it.
I mean, I did enjoy it.
It definitely holds up, because we've both seen it for the first time, and we absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I mean, overall, that's all I've got to say about it. I mean, I think it's probably a fantastic, great film that I probably wouldn't watch in another few months. I mean, it is. I can imagine watching it again, let's say in about 4 months' time.
I'd say this film, how I would sum up this film to watch it is, you watch it with someone that's never watched it before.
Yeah, I was
going to say, like, do you want to watch this film? It's quite a good film.
I'd watch it with. I disagree. I wouldn't watch it with someone who's seen it before, because you see what's going to happen.
No, that's what I mean. You'd watch it with someone that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, if I was going to watch a Pacino film, I hadn't seen a Pacino film, what this would want to
Scarface.
be. Yeah, no, I don't think Scarface would be the automatic because I don't think he shows his acting ability in that film. His accent on in that film sometimes it's
Scarface.
ludicrous.
Yeah, so
Oh,
like for instance as well, like you're saying, Dave, about watching it with somebody who's not seen it before. I think I've already said because I Skyped to my parents last night after watching this, and basically like I was talking to my dad about it. He's saying I've seen it a few times on Netflix, but actually got around to watching it.
that's the same for me. I've seen it so many times on Netflix and just thought, no, I'm not watching it.
I was saying to him, you should watch it. It's really good, Dad. It's about the corruption in the police, and obviously he's very interested in that because his dad was in the police, like I was saying earlier.
It's personal sort of.
It's very personal kind of thing, and I think I will probably take this back over Easter and say, right, Dad, let's go and watch Serpico. Let's watch Serpico.
I like that. I like that how that's not only sort of giving you an impression of Serpico of the film and the first time you watched it, but you're also now going to show others it.
Yeah, I think it's.
I would do the same. I would do the same.
Yeah, that's what
I think I've just you guys there have just proved my point.
Yeah,
it might be your week, but it's been my podcast.
I agree. I think that I'd definitely show it to someone else. I'd definitely buy the Blu-ray as well because not only can you watch it with, just honestly, not only can you watch it with the updated 5.1 surround soundtrack, you can watch it with the original.
Oh.
And you can watch it like.
So this podcast is sponsored by the Serpico Blu-ray.
This is the point of the podcast where you switch off.
I'm sorry, you take the piss, right? But this is such a good film to watch.
I love Blu-rays.
Honestly,
great.
I do take the piss about this.
Yeah, you do.
But I probably would watch it on Blu-ray. I probably would get it on Blu-ray.
I'm starting my own Blu-ray collection as well.
Yeah.
So.
I would be interested in seeing that restored because it was.
Yeah, I mean, so far I've seen every one except for Ghost World, not on Blu-ray.
Does Ghost World even have Blu-ray?
I think it does, but it's an American release.
Who wants that shit?
Well, thank you very much for watching our 5th episode.
Yeah, 5th episode. Yeah,
of the Moviebusters.
So yeah, we'll see you next week and. So long, goodbye.
Yeah, definitely hit us up on the Twitter page and definitely watch on YouTube. Again, I would love to hear your opinions on Serpico because I reckon it'd be quite a mixed response.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to send any correspondence by pigeon mail, Jack's address will be in the description.
Yeah.
Please send hate mail.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
I don't know if you can go through Narnia.
I think you can. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.